This is the revised Introduction to Programming in Java administration slides and welcome slides. I am Dr. Nick Dalton. I'm an associate professor, reader in human-computer interaction. Let's get this video rolling. In this video, we are going to talk about saying hello, what the course is about, the course structure, materials you're going to need, how we're going to teach you, including timetabling, assessment, how we're going to assess you, disabled students info, and an overview of the term, which we'll probably cover a bit earlier on. So before we get started, let's talk about the elephant in the room. This is going to be the most unusual year in your lives and in my entire teaching career. The good news is I used to teach at the Open University, so if there's anyone who understands how to teach at a distance, it is me in this university. Everything we're going to do is going to be impacted by the bias and then exit. But be assured, the university's motto is no student will be affected. Thanks in advance for your patience and understanding. Things can go wrong. Do not be afraid to contact me if things do go wrong. This is going to be great. Okay, a quick overview of where you are. This is your degree. The green section at the beginning, that's the first year. Programming 1. This is Programming 1. It's part of a 2-part course. If you're doing cybersecurity, digital forensics, you will not be doing Part 2. Part 2 is really for computer science only. But they are two linked together, and when you get to Part 2, the advanced one, then you'll be assuming knowledge of Part 1. Part 1 is purely about getting you to program. After that, we have the second year. The important thing to remember about that is this course is pass or fail, okay, as all the other modules are. So to get into you only have to get into the second year by passing, okay? After the second year, on the second year and the third year, these are what adds to your final degree. So that's good. If you're a beginner, and I hope you are, then you can be up at the same level by the second year as all the people who've walked in with a huge amount of prior experience. Believe me. Okay, in the second year, you'll see that in the third year, you'll see there's far more paths for you to follow. Everything up until then is largely very common. I will try the best I can to talk to individual groups with stuff that might excite you, that's more for you. But the kind of programming we're teaching now, it's basically fairly universal. Don't forget, there's also the industrial placement between second year and third year. It's a great way to get a lot of experience, and you're going to need a lot of experience to walk out as a great programmer. Okay, and then you can move on, employment, masters, whatever. So that's where you are at the beginning. So what is this course about? This is about the introduction to programming. As I said, we do not assume you can program. It's about looking inside every machine and being able to get everything working. Android phones, desktop machines, everything. There's huge amounts of software out there, and there's a huge call for people to make that software. Even if it's in a charity or the NHS, they all consume and make software. Now, if you're coming in and you've had like A-level computer science, you might be thinking, oh, this is going to be really easy for me. But remember, your teachers at school didn't have to eat because they programmed. I did, and many of the members of staff of this course did. Now, you've come in with a lot of bad habits, so we need to get rid of those habits, which basically means by the second year, you're all going to be at roughly the same kind of stage, even if you've never programmed before. So we're going to be teaching you Java on this course. Why Java, you may ask? Well, Java is still the most called for language in most job adverts. SQL, it's not a programming language. The top 100 companies in the UK, they all program in Java, even if they do not make software. All these big software companies, they all program in Java. Java is mostly used for programming Android apps. Believe me, I would love to get you to program Android apps, but it's large and complicated. But also there's another system called Spring. Spring also assumes that you're fairly good at basic programming before you even touch Spring. Okay, again, I'd love you to touch Spring. Spring is kind of, if you've ever been to a website that's fairly secure, like kind of the Amazon one or Barclays Bank or any bank, to be honest, If it's secure, it's probably running behind Spring, and it's probably running behind Java in that. But games people, Java is the second most popular language for games. Minecraft was programmed in Java. So don't underestimate the power of Java to make some fantastic and compelling games. I think the question you've got to start asking yourself is, how much are programmers paid? Okay, you should have a journal in front of you. Write down now how much you think programmers in 5 years, after 5 years of experience, are paid. Okay, let's find out. You filled it in, didn't you? You made a guess. Was this the guess you made? This was from 2019. You see, on average, it's kind of 50k. There's a lot of programmers who earn 50k. The average is close to 65, 70. But you can see the programmers end up earning over £100,000 a year. Okay. Now, I've drawn a red line there, and that's an important red line to talk about, because left of that line are jobs that anybody can do, because you can be shown exactly how to do it. Okay. Beyond that red line are jobs where, so for example, you go into a place and you say, oh, I want this. And they go, well, I haven't been shown how to press that machine yet, so you can't have it. Whereas beyond that red line, if you do not know how to do something, you figure it out. You initiate, you adapt, you overcome. This is the primary skill most employers are looking for. Okay. So another aspect of that is, we are not teachers. Never call us teachers. We are lecturers and we are tutors. What's the difference, you're saying to yourself? Partly, we respect you. We treat you like adults, and we allow you to deliver in your own way, just like a good employer would. We do not dictate everything, neither do we give you everything. An employer does not want to give someone a programming job and then come back a week later and find the person sitting there going, well, you haven't shown me how to do this yet, so how can I possibly do that? Okay, we are, your teachers at school were like bus drivers. You got in, they drove you somewhere, and then you got out. And everything that you got when you got to that destination was because of that driver. This is not how we're teaching. This is an entirely new experience. If you didn't know something, it was your teacher's fault. Now, we are far more like guides, okay? You pick your own destinations, you go there, and we help you out, okay? If you're determined to walk over a cliff, you will walk over a cliff. It's not our fault, okay? You will need, we're there to help you. We're there to guide you. We're there to say there's a cliff in that direction, there's a mountain in the next direction, there's a forest in that direction. You decide. Okay, that was a bit philosophical, but I'm not a teacher. Let's move on. I want you, by the end of the degree, to feel that you are entitled enough to go and work at some of the best places for software. But let's look at what happens. Let's look at how much graduates earn. So this is people graduating in computer science 5 years after graduating. As you can see, the initial amounts of money aren't as big as the actual average salaries. That would be stupid. But look, medicine and dentistry, they earn the most kind of money. Mathematics, veterinary science, that makes a huge amount of sense. But you're up there with them. Yeah, you're computer science. You're earning more than law. You're earning more than nursing, physics, education, art and design, agriculture. You're earning far more money than them. But there is a price to be paid. Computing, historically and universally across every university, has the largest number of student dropouts. Okay, look at medicine at the bottom there. Medicine has the lowest dropout. Why? Because people expect medicine to be difficult. People walk in and they do not expect computing to be difficult. Okay, they think, I've got a mobile phone. I know everything about computers. How difficult could it be? It is much more taxing. Okay. The dropout rate, I typically say when we're meeting you physically, is if there's 6 of you around a table, 1 of you won't be there by the end of the year. You do not get that money back, and we do not get that money from you either. We all lose if you drop out. You still have to pay it back though. We do not have much of a safety net, but you have about 2 weeks to contact the university and switch to a simpler course if you can't cope. We do not assume you can program, and unlike many places, we do not assume you're good at maths and you do not have a favorite Bessel equation. Okay, the general reason isn't that students fail isn't that they're not good enough. It's generally because they're lousy at time management. You are now in charge of your own time. Most students who fail stop turning up after the first or second week. They get distracted, they get a job, and they get more obsessed by the bar job than they do by getting the work done. Okay, the largest reason for course failure is poor time management. Okay, I understand a lot of you work, but please don't get yourself tied up like one student who asked me if he could take an exam on another day because his boss would not let him out of work that day. Or another student who came to me when he'd failed, telling me he was working 4 days a week. If you really must work, if you're supporting a family or something, why not think about switching to part-time? But generally, this seems really bizarre to give up earning £100,000 a year job for the sake of a minimum wage job now. But I'm getting off the point. The point is, stay organised and stay in control. And this year, that's going to be more important than ever before. Normally, turning up to university was your way of actually kind of staying organised. That is no longer enough. Stay organised. So back to Java. The important thing is, it doesn't matter which programming language you learn. Over the course of your career, you will be expected to learn 5 or 6 programming languages. There's a reason why there is this image of the young hacker. Okay, you would expect someone with more experience to actually be better. But the reason you have the notion of this young hacker typing out all this code in a hipsterish way is because they are able to learn faster than everybody else. And because of the dynamic changing way of software, it's keeping up with those changes is going to be the important thing. So your first starting language does not matter. Most employers do not care which programming language you're good at because they expect you to be able to switch easily within a few weeks of starting a job to whatever programming language they're using. So you might be sitting there going, oh, we should be teaching in Kotlin. We should be teaching in insert name of magic language here. It doesn't matter, okay? And if this all sounds scary, it's not meant to be. The first programming language is a fair amount of hard work, but the second is a lot easier, okay? In the next section, I'm going to move forward into the materials that are going to help you through this stage. Learning materials. The materials to help you. Number 1 is when the university opens and you can get into the library, it's the library. There's still a lot of fantastic stuff on dead paper. Do not rely on online materials. Most of those are made by jokesters for free. Would you really read something for free? Okay, think about it. What are they getting out of this? If you look online and you think you can look a lot of stuff up online, it doesn't help because there's lots of people out there that give the extra complicated solution when a much simpler solution exists. The books, the people there are getting paid for the book, and therefore they actually give you the skinny really well. So we have one book which we're recommending, Learning Processing. As soon as the library becomes available, there will be a link to the book on the website. It's free to download. You can find physical copies. I'm very much of a physical copy kind of person. You will actually understand that. But you've got to find your own way. Now, number 2. 70% of you, approximately, own a computer, a desktop machine or a laptop machine of some sort. But that means 30% of you don't. This is an odd state of affairs. It's a bit like an artist who doesn't own a pencil, or a rock star who goes from stadium to stadium, assuming that when he gets there, there's going to be a guitar waiting for him to turn up. While it may be very tempted to try and stick on using university machines, I say they're tied down and no fun whatsoever. This year, more than ever before, I would recommend buying a computer. It does not have to be flashy and expensive. Processing runs on everything. You can even use a £50 Raspberry Pi, and that's fine. Just go down to the local TIC, pick up an old keyboard and a screen, and you're going to be fine. And if you can't afford £15 for your £100,000 a year job in the future, I'm not going to the pub with you. So the bottom line, doesn't need to be expensive. but you do need a machine you can develop on. You should have a machine with develop on. It's not totally strict. If you've got problems, definitely speak to Ask for Help. There are a number of charities that can actually help you with that. This year is special. Why not treat yourself? Number 2, download processing. Processing is free from processing.org. Here's the website. It will run on Macs and PC. We do not care which it is, even the Raspberry Pi. Basically, while you're there, why not have a look at this? This is processing for Android. Processing for Android, if you have an Android phone, allows you to plug your Android phone into your desktop machine or your laptop, and then basically everything we're teaching will run on Android. You can even build a game by the end of this course, and you can submit it on the Android game store. Yes, it's that straightforward. It's a lot of fun, and I would wish I could do it in the machines inside the clusters, but I can't. But it's great fun. Download it. Okay, how are we teaching? Number 1, Blackboard, the ELP. This is your electronic guide to all the materials you're going to need. Now, the important stage, how are we teaching? Well, it's kind of as easy as 1, 2, 3. Number 1, that's the lectures. They are all on YouTube. Each lecture has been split up and then linked together. Now, Martin's gotten to a great deal of length to split them up and have flows through. So, for example, if you're new to programming and want a bit more depth and a bit more detail, a bit more explanation, there's stuff there. If you're more confident, there's also stuff to stretch you slightly at the end of each lecture. So, the important thing about the process is you go to Blackboard and you will find a link. You'll find this link. In the link, you will see there's actually a journal entry. Now, as you're going through watching the video, I want you to make notes. And the notes should go into the journal. And the reason for this is I need to know that you're watching the material. Because if you're not watching the material, I need to get out there and remind you as soon as possible. This is a confusing experience, and the sooner we're all comfortable with it, the better. And so therefore, do make a journal entry about what you're learning. The journal link will link you off to YouTube, where the videos each week is another playlist. Okay, so that's it for part 1. Part 2, that's the workshops. These are physically timetabled. You should have them in your timetable now. Each workshop comes with a PDF, which is what you have to do. It's in the building. And again, there's a journal entry for you to write down what you're doing. So if you're asked to do a particular task, type it into the journal entry. And again, this is to make sure that people are actually keeping up with the work, because falling behind with the work is bad. I can't stress this enough. You cannot learn this stuff the night before the exam. Honestly. Okay, you might have been able to get away with that, and you might have Boris Johnsoned your way through a huge amount of material in every other course. But programming is not like that. And you cannot do this the night before your interview either. You've got to spend time. You've got to engage with the material. Okay, this is your future. Start playing with it. All the workshops are in the computer science building. That's the big bendy round one. Most of them are in the first floor or in the second floor. It should be fairly obvious. The first one is at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Then there's Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, and Thursday morning. Then there's another one at 10:30 in the same room, basically following on for the first ones. You should have a timetable by now. And if you have got a timetabled entry, please stick to that timetabled entry. They are there to stop students from mixing and spreading disease. Please stick to your timetabled element. If you have not been assigned a timetabled place, pick one of these and go to it. It will get sorted out, but I do not want you falling behind quickly. So we've got the 9 o'clock lectures, the 10:30 lectures, the 12:30 lectures, and then there's a 1 o'clock lecture. What else can I say about that? They're going to be good, but please, please, please work safely. Finally, and this is for you foundation students, and I really mean this, This is going to be new. You might be sitting there going, oh my God, I'm paying £9,000 a year for a virtual online YouTube lecture. That's a bit pants. Well, for you, there is an online seminar. So for every workshop, after every workshop, there is an online seminar. The online seminar is with another tutor, and it's a place for you to ask questions. We'll be doing three things. The first thing is we will be answering questions about the course. And they can be as stupid as you like. If you want to get there in week 3 and go, I still don't understand anything, this is fine. Come to us and talk to us. It's better than dropping out. Number 2 is we will be going over the workshop material. So we will be giving out the answers and going through the material and trying to explain what you should have learned from that. Finally, when the assessment comes along, it's a way for you to talk about, obviously not give the answers to, but ask questions about the assessment, and we will give you what guides we can. Now, you're asking yourself, how do I figure out what seminar I'm in? Well, if you've not been timetabled, again, go to the Blackboard and you will see that there's a list of slots. So there's Seminar 1, Seminar 2, Seminar 3, Seminar 4, Seminar 5, and there's Seminar 6. They're all at different times on a Thursday and a Friday. Pick one and then attend it. This will be by Blackboard Collaborate or possibly Microsoft Teams, maybe even Discord. I might be flexible. Who can see? Who can say? This is for you to ask questions. If you email me a question, I will be answering it in your seminar. We can even have private chats if you absolutely must have a private chat for some particular reason. That is fine. Okay, so let's just quickly go over then. I know my face is probably covering one of the ticks. So the first one is lectures. They're asynchronous. You can watch them whenever you like, providing you watch them before the lecture. And they're virtual. They're all online. Then you've got the workshops. They're at a specific time. They're timetabled, but they're physical. If for any reason there's a large lockdown or if you're having to self-isolate, you can contact your tutor and you can do it remotely. Finally, there's a synchronous, timetabled seminar, and that's virtual. So we have the lectures. The lectures are 2 hours. Now, it doesn't look like 2 hours on YouTube, but remember there are things for you to do in those lectures as you're going along. So if you actually do the exercises and stop and do the exercises, it's about 2 hours. Remember to watch the lectures before the workshop. It is pointless going into the workshop and then watching the lecture and going, oh, sorry, I'll just watch the lecture in the corner here. Why? Because you're risking your own life for no benefit whatsoever. Why risk infection in the workshop? It seems pointless. Watch them before you turn up. The workshops, they're about 2 hours. That's 90 minutes with 15 minutes either side to get into and out of the building. The workshops are for doing. As I mentioned, if you can't turn up because you're isolating, contact your tutor and we will try to work digitally. Again, same if there is a general lockdown. It's going to take a few weeks to sort out exactly how to teach in a COVID-safe way, but we're going to get there. Finally, there's a seminar and they're about 2 hours. Again, it's about 90 minutes plus or minus 15 minutes starting and stopping time. So that's 6 hours. And remember, the seminars are live. They are not going to be recorded. And finally, there's 2 hours of self-directed study, practice and reading. Do not skip that bit, okay? You won't be able to skip that bit because the assessment, but do not skip the practice and assessment. We can only get you started. You need to throw in about 10,000 hours. You need to have 10,000 mistakes, 10,000 bits of hitting your forehead as the machine doesn't do what you want it to do. This is perfectly normal. You need to put that time in now. No one's going to employ you as a programmer if you cannot program. Of all the subjects you're exposed to, this is the key one you need to master. That's totaling about 8 hours. That is a day a week, okay? And you're doing 3 or 4, depending on the course. That's a week's worth of work, okay? Do not shirk that. Again, I don't care when you do it, but you must do it. Okay, let's go on to the serious stuff. Assessment. How are we going to assess you? Remember, the first year is pass or fail. it does not contribute to your final degree. There will be 5 digital assessments, okay? So the machine will be sitting there looking at your code and seeing if you actually make it work. If you can, you get the marks. It doesn't matter how, providing the machine has been programmed to get the right results. There's a lot of pedagogic reasons, but this is how modern software is built. It's called test-driven development, okay? And that's what we're getting used to now. You need to pass, so there's 5 assessments, and you need to pass 4. There is no averaging. There is no averaging in this process. They all assess different things apart from number 5. Okay, so if for any reason you have to stop for a couple of weeks and you miss one, then you need to do number 5. Okay, if you've done 4, you do not need to do it. But to be honest, many students have had so much fun doing these assessments, they've wanted to do all 5 just because they could. Okay, which is fantastic. Okay, let's look at when the assessments are coming out, and we'll look at the overall kind of process of the course. We've got introduction in week 1, we've got flowcharts, hello world processing in week 2. Okay, so that's mostly not on a machine to begin with. So you've got 2 weeks to get hold of a machine. We've got variables and conditions where you'll be kind of exposed to kind of processing for the first time, decisions, repetitions, arrays, functions, putting it all together where you're programming breakout. It's a great one that you do not want to miss that lecture. It's wonderful. Data, debugging, images. It's going to be fabulous. Assessment 1 is out in week 4 and it's due in week 6. Assessment 2 is out in week 6 and it's due in week 8. Assessment 3 is out in week 8 and it's due in week 10. And assessment 4 is out in week 10 and it's due in week 12. Assessment 5 is out in week 12 and is to be delivered by the beginning of next term. That's week 17, week 16. Again, these are all provisional dates because events may change what's happening. Keep an eye out. I've already put in a couple of marker assessments, and they're just to enter in the assessments into your calendar. They're not actually visible yet. So do not worry if you cannot see anything. They're just markers to keep something in your calendar. As soon as they're out, I will switch them over to the real things. Okay, quick shout out to the disabled people here. Disabled students, welcome again. If you have a disability, dyslexia, autism spectrum, ADHD, this is totally fine. Okay, this is a great choice of course for you. There are some brilliant Java programmers out there. There are some brilliant programmers out there, and they're dyslexic, and one of them is me. Okay, there are other members of the course with all of these problems. My son has got autism. Believe me, we're ready to support you. I will be contacting you in the next couple of weeks to figure out reasonable adjustments for you on the course. If you do not get an email from me, I have not been told about you, and so therefore you must contact me. If you do not have a DSSR, I would strongly recommend contacting the university, go to ask for help, and then organising a DSSR. If you've got, there's a lot of reasonable adjustments I can make. Okay. Female students, hello, it's good to see you here. Would you like to take part in a study? There's money behind it. Contact me if you do. I really want to make a fantastic experience for the female students, and if there's something I can do to this course to make it better for you, I want to hear about it. So to summarise, I want you to have the best possible experience. These are going to be very difficult times. However, as I said, I used to teach at the Open University. I used to teach between 5,000 and 11,000 students a year to program at a distance. So while it's not ideal, it is totally doable. If you do have a problem, do not be afraid to talk to your workshop or tutor about it. You can even speak privately. Again, you can email me or your seminar tutor, and we will answer your questions in a seminar. Feel free to contact me. I will try my best. Things are going to be a bit mad. The students generally felt the automatic assessments were incredibly good. However, it's just another piece of software, and like all software, it's got faults. Last year, I was really fortunate to have some very keen students who were really excited to get on the assessments as soon as they came out. And if there were any problems, they would email me back. My thank you for that is I will give a reference to anybody who is part of that process. So do feel, if you do find a problem with the assessments, do feedback quickly. We will get it fixed for you, and we'll get it fixed for everybody. If you need to make an appointment with me for any reasons, there's a link via Blackboard. Okay, thank you so much. Welcome to an incredibly amazing, crazy year we're going to be talking about for years to come. Let's go.